His name is Bela Szilagyi, and he is one of millions of die-hard boxing fans. What's unusual is that in his spare time, Szilagyi has become one of the world's foremost experts on the sport. And just about the only time he's not following the fight beat is when he has to work. Szilagyi is a heavyweight on the concert piano. Tonight, you'll learn more about the fascinating fight fan they call Fingers. Boxing, the sweet science, from Gleason's Gym on the waterfront at the foot of the Brooklyn Bridge. Welcome to another edition of Boxing, the Sweet Science. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. Tonight, the story of a classic pianist who thinks boxers make beautiful music. If you think that's unusual, wait until you hear from Don Dunphy, who talks about the weirdest things that have transpired in the ring in his 50 years of calling fights.
Bela, boxing and Beethoven, pugilism and the piano. How in the world did you get hooked up in both fields?
It's a very interesting, way, Randy, because when I was about 7 years old, I remember listening to the old Gillette fights on the radio. And somehow, it was just the idea of hearing the crowds cheering, and it just got into my blood at this very early age. I remember the fight. I remember hearing Don Dunphy say Zivik and Armstrong. A number of years passed, and I remember the first Lewis Kahn fight, because I remember that I was out in the streets and everybody had their radios on outside, and everybody was very interested in this. Then, somehow the bug really bit, and I can remember the date exactly. It was December 4th, 1947, and that was the fight, Jersey Joe Walcott, Joe Louis. And from that day on, I've followed every single boxing match till this day. But also, very interestingly, when I was a child, I would be practicing 10 to 12 hours a day piano, and my reward was the Friday night fights.
For a man who's played at some of the biggest concert halls in the country, you've got to be ribbed by your contemporaries, aren't you?
Yes, very much so. But see, I use my knowledge of boxing they appear in concert halls across the nation, and they are in my biography. I have many people come afterwards and say, now, how can you really be interested in something so brutal like boxing when you produce such beautiful music? But my answer to that is that you cannot practice the piano 24 hours a day, and it really was my safety valve. For me to break the tension of working at music, boxing was my savior, you might say.
Well, we know that music is an art. Do you consider boxing an art form?
Very much so. The things that I find that are very similar to boxers, the ring is their stage. That's why you notice a lot of times that boxers cannot retire. They keep coming back because they need the adulation of the crowd. This is very much like going out and doing a performance.
You're a fight nut. I mean, looking around your apartment, I have found this book that you put out every year. It's called Television Boxing Review. I looked through this. It has every fight for that particular year. Here's one that Bruce Beck and I did on the Madison Square Garden Network in April of 1987. I see that you keep fight records, not just of one little area, but I'm talking about this planet. You've got fight tapes that go back, there has to be about 5,000 fights, and I'm guessing. When did you start doing all this?
Well, my videotape library started in 1979, and depending on the location, I have taped everything that was available at the time. And since moving back here to New York, I must have taped at least 4,000 fights. It seems like 4,000 fights. It's also like having a bit of history, because I know that in the future, there is like a history of boxing here.
Okay, let's have a little fun here. Let's take a few fighters. And I'm sure that in your mind, when I'm going to mention some names, I just see ability. You see music. You hear music. Let me throw some names at you. You tickle the ivories, and you describe musically what that fighter looks like. Let me start with Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay, let's see what I can come up with.
Okay, let's go from that Sugar Ray to Sugar Ray Leonard. Got another one, the world's biggest hot dog, the former IBF lightweight champion, Vinny Pazienza. The heavyweight champion of the world, Catskill Thunder, Mike Tyson. A musical dissertation on some boxing personalities from the heavyweight champion of the keyboard.